What time does
Where
the show actually end?
Hey, welcome. Wait a minute.
10:20.
Welcome, everybody, to Facebook. This is Jim Blythe, and I've got Chuck Wright back on board. I am so excited about that. And I got to tell you, we're going to be doing great. We're going to be talking about Gold Star families, Blue Star families, and Wreaths Across America and Gold Star monuments. Welcome to the Veterans Impact Show, where our motto is Charlie Mike. Continue the mission. I'm your host, Jim Blythe, U.S. Navy Vietnam veteran and certified senior advisor. Join me as we feature veterans who continue the mission of leadership and commitment in our communities after serving our great nation. Why, you never know who you're going to meet or where we're going to go. So welcome aboard. Hey, what a really great day. And Chuck, I got to spend last week in Pensacola, Florida.
I have very, very fond memories of Pensacola that we will not share on the air.
Yes, I can imagine the Marines and sailors got in a lot of trouble. I want to tell everybody, because Chuck's been away for a while, but I asked him to come back for a very special reason, because we're going to be talking about a very important part of our military family, the Blue Star mothers, the Blue Star families, the Gold Star families, and Wreaths Across America. And Chuck, you have been heavily involved in all of them, but you've got a great guest that's standing by. Why don't you introduce Evelyn?
I am absolutely thrilled to introduce, and she very much was. She was the heartbeat of our Gold Star Family Monument in Frisco, project in Frisco. And we'll flash some slides of that later so you can see it. But Evelyn Holland is, unfortunately, has a designation nobody wants, and that is to be a member of the Gold Star families, and she is a Gold Star mother. And Evelyn, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Evelyn was absolutely awesome. As we had this project going on, it was a thrill. I did not know her before we started our project, but it was absolutely great. And I have actually had the honor of laying a wreath during Wreaths Across America, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, on her son's gravesite at the DFW National Cemetery.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Why don't you, Evelyn, tell us a little bit about Gold Star mothers and Gold Star families, because not everybody knows.
Well, Gold Star moms are mothers who lost a son or daughter who paid the ultimate sacrifice while serving in the U.S. Armed Forces. The term originated from the practice of displaying a service flag with a gold star for each family member who died while serving in the U.S. Armed Forces. Now, the group American Gold Star Mothers was founded on June 4th, 1928 by Grace Darling and other mothers of those lost in World War I. The American Gold Star Mothers have a congressional charter that provides advocacy for bereaved families and veterans. This congressional charter is stationed in Washington, D.C., and if you want to learn more, you can go to www.goldstarmom.com or just perform a search on American Gold Star Mothers. For me, the bottom line is this: we must continue to have an attitude of gratitude and continue to be a beacon of light that our warriors left inside of us to do good and serve those in need. Our main goal is to continue to be of service to our veterans and their families. And most importantly, we need to serve, but we need to serve well.
Now, Evelyn, talk a little bit, and we'll kind of expand this to talk about the tradition where the Blue Star came from and the hanging of the banners, which eventually turned into some of those stars turning gold.
Yes, as I stated previously, the Gold Star, they were Gold Star moms then, and the star would turn gold once a mother received word that her son had passed, and they would hang that flag outside of their home.
And I didn't think to send a picture over, but most people will remember people were hanging, and they were really more banners than flags. They were vertical and rectangular.
Right.
And you would put a blue star for each member of the family that was serving, because back then it was not unusual for a mother to be hanging a star that was both for a husband and
Right.
for a son.
Right.
And in World War I, there weren't many women that were serving
Right.
at the time. And so the tradition started when one of those was lost.
Yes.
And our friend Terry Burgess has a book, a great book, When Your Blue Star Turns Gold.
Yes.
And let's throw up that picture of that good-looking Marine down there. This is Evelyn's son Lee. By all accounts, an outstanding young man. I never knew him, unfortunately. I wish I had.
Yes.
But your dedication to his memory is really heartwarming. And I am sorry that you are now a Gold Star mom.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And, you know, what I most appreciate, that he's not forgotten Texas A&M University, where he attended college, reached out to me a few weeks ago, and they're building a medical mobile unit in his honor. And,
Oh, cool.
Boy, that's great.
they called me and they wanted to, you know, well, they reached out to me and they wanted to make sure that it was okay. And I said, absolutely, you know, in his honor, because he was very giving and very loving.
So I guess we have to do a whoop or whatever it is, whooping cough.
Him.
Aggies do some weird thing.
I
Yeah,
don't
Hig'em.
look at me. In the Navy, I don't think we had that. But basically, your son was a first lieutenant.
Yes, he was.
And he is a Marine.
Yes.
Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Always a Marine. Yes.
Can't you tell from that good-looking picture?
Oh, well, yes, I can. But for those who are only hearing us in terms of radio,
Oh, that's true.
we're going to tell them. And where did he get?
Where did he pass?
Where did he pass?
Passed at Marine Corps Air Station, Cherry Point, North Carolina.
Now, what was he doing? What was his MOS?
Well, this is disheartening. The week before he passed away, he didn't know it. He was promoted to first lieutenant, and this was back in May 2014. My son had a undetectable congenital heart defect, and he was out on a PT run, and he collapsed.
My God.
He had enlisted in the Marines in 2008. He had been in the Marines for 6 years. And unfortunately, it's the type of heart defect that you don't know you have unless it's sudden death.
Ugh.
Wow.
Not good.
Right.
Could we, what a great honor, though, to have A&M going to do a mobile unit for him. I think that's so incredible. Are you guys familiar in the Gold Star families? Diane and I were involved with Snowball Express, which is now under the Gary Sinise Foundation. And you remember when we did that. And the Gold Star families that are involved with Snowball Express, that was one of the most amazing things that I ever participated in.
So for those who don't know, and this is in fact now run by the Gary Sinise Foundation, he'd always had a finger in that pie, but now he runs it. And it makes a lot of sense, because what they do is they have a long weekend where they bring the Gold Star families in, particularly the kids, and they take them to Disney World, and they let them just have fun. And the kids, so these kids are part of a larger community of kids we refer to lovingly as brats. I was an Air Force brat. There's a lot of brats out there. And it's a chance for them to connect with other kids who get it, who understand, and who've been through kind of what they've been through. But you know what? They can just relax and be themselves and just let go and have fun. And our good friend, Jennifer Hansen, was part of that, and now her daughter is at Maryland University. Hannah, that's Hannah Banana, as we call her, And we grew up, my son and her graduated together. They were never close friends, but they were friends and had gone to school together for all 12 years. And so we had this really powerful relationship. And we remember when, unfortunately, Keith was taken from us, and that was her husband. And can we flash the picture of from the monument? Yeah, there it is. There we go. We'll toss that up for everybody.
Oh, how
So,
beautiful.
there we go. So you can see Evelyn kind of in the middle on the right, and next to her is Jennifer, and then that's my friend Noe De Leon, another Marine. In fact, interesting enough, other than Jennifer, whose husband was also a Naval Academy grad, everybody else in the picture is either a Marine or related to a Marine. So there we go. And that is Kelly Alexander now. Alexander now. Yeah.
Yes.
She is now married. She has a wonderful little boy named Cooper, who, judging by his Facebook pictures, might be the world's happiest kid. That kid is never not smiling. He's a wonderful kid. And she was, these are 3 of the 5 Gold Star family members who were part of our committee, and you can see the monument in the background. And
I got to be there at the dedication.
You were there at the dedication.
And
absolutely.
it was beautiful.
It was an
Beautiful day,
incredible
too.
dedication. Here is the monument. The one thing I'll mention about the monument, well, let me talk about that for just a second, because this is really touching to me. And Woody Williams would have been 100 years old this October had he made it. Unfortunately, we lost him 2 years ago. All of the monuments around the nation are the same in terms of their design. There's one panel on the back that is different. We did something different. You will notice there's a hole in the monument, and that is the silhouette of somebody saluting. So somebody in our committee, and it wasn't me because I'm not that creative, had the idea of taking what amounts to a cookie cutter cutout, however you would do that in granite, but we did the separate statue rendering a return salute. And our monument, the monuments are supposed to be aligned north, south, east, and west. Ours is slightly off kilter so that the 2 saluting line up with the flags that are at the Frisco. We call it the Veteran Memorial,
Yes.
which is a beautiful sight. And then you will notice as you go beyond that, there is a tree. So we had 4 original key Gold Star family members, and we have a tree dedicated to each of those that form a semicircle around the monument. And then the grass, the dirt area is actually now filled in with
beautiful flowers.
Beautiful flower.
Oh,
Yeah, and I
great.
was trying to say they did it's the difference between annuals and perennials. But they did perennials, so they always come back. But it's really, this was literally right after we put the benches in. You can see the benches.
Yes.
But it is a place to do 2 things. First and foremost, for our Gold Star family members to come, to have a place in Frisco, to respect and to reflect, obviously to respect.
Yes. To reflect.
But to have that minute that they can go out and they can connect with, and they can basically use that any way they wish. But it's also a way for the community to remember. We talk about the sacrifices our veterans and first responders make. As I have gotten older, as I have watched my brother's family as he's deployed 6 times at least, and I've watched the sacrifice, and I understood it. I watched my dad deploy, and I never thought about what that burden put on my mother as she's literally raising a family alone. But I really began to appreciate it with my brother. I was older, I was more mature, I was a little less in touch with myself and the rest of the world. But it is so important, because I'm absolutely convinced that we thank our veterans, we thank our first responders for their sacrifices.
Yes.
But I promise you, it is the families who are making even bigger sacrifices. And Terry Burgess and I have talked about this, and he was out there that day with us. And I don't know any pictures from that other than the picture I showed with part of our committee. We didn't get all of them in one picture, unfortunately. It just was a little bit chaotic. With over 250 people who attended. Frisco Fire, Frisco Police, the mayor showed up. I'll give him a hard time because he's another Texas grad and a friend. But yeah, he showed up late. So he missed his opportunity to speak, but that was okay. Woody handled it incredibly well. And in all, it was a great day. And I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to three of our biggest donors. And that would be Mike and Kathy Brower. And that would be Greg Busalog and his daughter, Melissa Mann. And Katie Singleton, who was, she's a resident, but she's that kind of citizen that just cares about our veterans.
You know, Rex King was a good friend of Woody Williams.
Yes.
Rex and I are good friends. He is ex-Navy. He was in the Brownwater Navy. And Rex told me a story that he saw a lady came up to him and he saw a man kneeling in front of the monument.
And
the
when
guy
you
was
say him,
crying.
you're talking about Woody.
Yeah. Was this man was crying, and the woman said to Rex or Woody or both of them, "That's my husband. He hasn't grieved for his son." And this was an opportunity there at the monument, not only to grieve, but to bring closure to that and to remember his son. And so this is really, really important for our Gold Star families. And then you were talking about deploying. Last week, Mark Liebman came and joined me, Captain Mark Liebman, and we talked about the deployment and
We
all
like
of
him.
that
He's a
stress.
fine helicopter pilot.
Yeah. And basically, that was the week that the Eisenhower battle group deployed to the Mediterranean. So right now, we've got 2 major carriers in the Mediterranean doing operations to try and keep everybody.
All their families.
Yes, and all of their families. And everything got uprooted and jerked and bang, ended, and away they went.
And please, let's never forget that even though supposedly the global war on terror is over, now it's heating back up again. But even when nobody's shooting at somebody else, we have men and women deployed all over the world.
Absolutely. There is an aircraft carrier within distance anywhere in the world, anytime. I think it's amazing too, the families, and we'll talk more about that when we come back, talking about deployed families, Blue Star families, and we're talking about Gold Star families. This is Veterans Impact. We're here for you. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. And thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation. Well, Chuck,
Cool. I'm still part of the show.
You still are. We left it that way.
Yeah, Evelyn, would you drill a little deeper, if you would, in your participation and into the Gold Star Mothers? Because that is a separate organization. And I've gotten to meet, thanks to you, several of the people that are in charge, that are part of it. And it's absolutely wonderful, humbling.
You know, being a gold star mom, you know, like I said previously, it's all about service for us. It's all about continuing to let that light shine that are warriors, you know, left. It's like, for me, my son passed the torch on to me to be, to be of continuous service. So what I do and what helps me is I may go out and buy a package of thank you envelopes, and I may put $5 or $10 in that envelope. I may see a veteran, or I may take it to a veteran-owned business and say, hey, can you bless the next first responder that come in here? Or can you bless the next veteran that come in here? If it's a cup of coffee, or a breakfast sandwich or whatever. To me, that's service. That's an act of kindness. The Gold Star Moms, we're not we were not members of the American Gold Star Mothers organization. That alone is an organization for moms like me that if I choose to be a part of, there's a national convention every year. You pay dues, you pay dues for that. And it's a beautiful organization, and our missions are the same. And that's to be of service to our veterans, our first responders, and the families of the fallen. So the only difference is with the Gold Star Moms and the American Gold Star Mothers organization is that you pay dues to the organization. It's a chartered organization that you pay dues to, and we both still carry the star, the Gold Star.
So those of you who don't know the amazing Miss Evelyn, and she is absolutely incredible, she brought an energy to our group. But then I also like to somewhat jokingly say we were eating our way to building a monument. She would go out to these various restaurants.
Yes.
And we would do these appreciation nights. And we did the first one, and I give a little shout out to Me Casino.
Yes.
But it was incredible because a buddy of mine who was there walked up to me, and I don't know if you know this story about Bill Hogsett. We'll give him a little shout out on the air. And he walked up and he said, whatever you guys raise tonight, I'll match.
Wow.
So we put that challenge out and we got 5. It is so weird. I'm backwards on this and I never know which hand to throw up. We had 5 other friends of ours to match what we did that night. And that got us kicked off rather nicely.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
and
fantastic.
Yeah, there was another gentleman in the picture. That was another one of the Marines, my friend John Collins, who worked for a concrete company. And we're in Frisco, and Frisco is in growth mode. We have gone from one of the fastest growing cities in the nation just because we've already gotten so big. We're not doubling every year anymore, but we do a lot of concrete here. No, we plant a lot of trees too, but we do a lot of concrete. Yes. He donated the concrete that was used
for the monument?
For the monument, which was the second biggest expense. The monument itself was the biggest expense, but that was the second biggest expense. And we raised all of this money, but we couldn't have done it without Evelyn's efforts. So it was absolutely fantastic. But that's me being a little selfish. Really, her sacrifice and her energy and the way she genuinely cares. And Evelyn, we call that Charlie Mike. Mm-hmm. Continue the mission.
Absolutely.
Well, that's also part of our mission is to showcase veterans and veterans' families that are doing exceptional things in the community. Instead of just sitting around and talking about it, doing something about it.
Well, and it's amazing. There are so many ways. And Evelyn, I loved listening to you talking about putting a $5 bill or putting a $5 gift card to McDonald's or to Chick-fil-A or any coffee shop except Starbucks. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that on the air?
I didn't know, Chuck, to be honest. When I did it the first time, it was for the American Tea Company. The owner, because her husband, he's a Marine. He's a police officer also for Frisco.
Yes, he is. Or was. He is retired now.
Oh, he's retired. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And Judy, that's Judy Adams, and she was absolutely incredible. Yes. And Judy is now realizing, and this is where my brother will be come 16 December as he retires on the 15th of December.
Wow.
And my sister refers to him as the Colonel. So the Colonel is going to be around the house all the time. And I guarantee you, his wife is already figuring out ways to get him out of the house.
Yes.
But we digress. But no, absolutely a wonderful gesture to show up and just say thank you. And I have talked to a lot of police officers And it is amazing. It's one of the things they appreciate the most is somebody just saying, thank you for being
Thank
here.
you. That's it. That's it. It doesn't always have to be something tangible.
Yep.
But it's whatever is placed on your heart to do. Just a thank you. And Chuck, you're not giving yourself enough credit, because we would not have been able to complete this journey without you. You were a guide, and you gave us comfort, and you gave us a sense of peace that this mission would be accomplished, and we could not have done it without you.
Okay, now you're just trying to embarrass me.
Well, I think
you've given me a lot of credit.
I think that's very, very, very appropriate, Chuck, because your involvement not only in the Gold Star Monument, but Toys for Tots with the Marine Corps,
Yes.
Marine Corps League,
Mhm.
and helping us start this program in 2015. All of the things you do, you ought to
Actually, I started it. You joined me.
Okay, then
that was only 2 weeks into it, and it was that was great. That was a fun moment for me, where I wound up finding a friend for life. I wasn't sure about it at first.
Yes.
But as far as the show goes, you brought a level of professionalism that just simply wasn't there before.
Well, I'd only been doing radio since I was 16. All right, we're going to take a quick break to hear from all of our partners. And thank you for being on board. This is the Veterans Impact Show. We are here for you. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. And thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation. I am having a great time today. My old buddy Chuck Wright came back, but it's important because he is so involved with building the Gold Star Family Monument, Marines, that all they're doing with the Marines, Wreaths Across America. I mean, it's amazing what you do, Chuck. And thank you. And thank you for being part of this. Now, I need to say a quick thank you to Fairway, my company, Fairway Independent Mortgage. I'm a reverse mortgage specialist, and I work in 6 states. My NMLS number is 311548, and our corporate one is 2289. So now I've made the attorneys happy.
There we go.
We are an equal opportunity lender. We're the largest non-bank mortgage company in the nation, and probably one of the best that I have ever been around. Great company. We put about $1 million so far into service dogs with our American Warriors Foundation. So look us up, Fairway Independent Mortgage. We can help you with a VA home loan. We can help you with a reverse mortgage. We can help you with a lot of things, and we can help you with service dogs as well.
Yeah, so, and that's based out of Louisiana as well. We were talking about Evelyn is from Monroe, Louisiana.
Yes.
And my sister and brother-in-law were stationed there for a while as he was at, I can't remember the name of the base that was there. There was a base near
Fort Polk.
Fort Polk.
Oh.
Yeah, so he was there for a while. And
they say that is somewhat of a difficult base to get assigned to. Let's leave it at that, because it's kind of in the swamps.
Yeah, it was built. It was an old World War I training base that they were going to shut down. They revived it for World War II. It's just one of those bases that's always kind of been a bit of a problem child.
Yeah.
But having said that,
don't want to go there. Don't want to have the Fort Polk blues.
But so we're kind of tying this into Louisiana, which is where Miss Evelyn is from. But let's pivot.
My dear friend Louise Thaxton with Fairway heads up that American
Wonderful
Warriors
lady.
Initiative. She is a character. She is
an absolute character.
I got to tell you, Evelyn, you'd enjoy meeting her, because I mean, she's like walking around with an energy drink as just part of her life. I mean, amazing.
That's awesome.
Amazing. And I got to tell you, thank you again for all you did to get that monument. That is great. If you're joining us late, let me just explain. Evelyn Holland is very, very active in Gold Star Mothers. And Chuck Wright, you have been very active and involved in getting the Gold Star Monument. And if you're looking at yourself going, what does Gold Star mean? Does that mean that there were an admiral or a general? No. means they lost a family member in the service of our nation.
Yep.
Yes.
And it's a very, very sad situation. Now, we were also talking, Chuck, about the Blue Star. We now have just deployed a battle group with the USS Eisenhower into the Mediterranean. They did a deployment just overnight. They were not scheduled to go. Now they're online in the Mediterranean supporting the Ford. So there are 2 carriers there to support.
Well, the Eisenhower's on its way. It's not there yet.
Oh, I thought it was.
Is it there?
I think it is.
Well, if it's there,
it's close.
They didn't deploy in an instant. What happened was they changed their mission. But we will have 2 carrier groups stationed in the Mediterranean, and just trying to keep the peace. And I had mentioned, and I'm going to go ahead and throw this out. 40 years ago on Monday, we lost 241 Americans, 220 Marines, and a contingent of sailors and soldiers in a cowardly bomb blast at the Marine barracks in Beirut. And it was absolutely a cowardly attack. I have been to, and I lost my roommate from basic school, Lieutenant Don Woolly Bear Woollett, absolutely great young man who was taken way too soon from us. And as we're talking about Lee and we think about some of these other young men, their lives were taken and they sacrificed their lives defending our nation, defending freedom. But very important, you made that comment. The motto of this group that went into Beirut was, "We came in peace."
Yes.
And that is on the wall at their monument in North Carolina. They were based out of Lejeune. Many of them are buried in the same section of the National Cemetery at Arlington, and I have visited Woolly Bear's grave. And it was coincidental, but it was the same weekend that another classmate of ours was retiring from the CIA. So it was a very emotional weekend for me, very poignant. This December, I will lay a wreath on the gravesite of yet another classmate that we lost. Not at Beirut, but we should never forget the cause of peace. And in people, I hate the propaganda and I hate the spin, but what is so disturbing is that these atrocities that have been committed recently are acceptable to some people. I don't care who you are. This is never acceptable to go after women and children. You can justify it and you can spin it. And I know people have used all kinds of spin to justify all kinds of evil in the world. But some things are just
Killing
evil.
babies.
Yeah.
Killing babies is just evil.
Incomprehensible to me.
Yeah.
That shows the level of hatred and anger. And, evil doesn't, you can't get rid of evil with more evil, but we're going to have to put a stop to it. And we had to do that World War II.
Yep. That is exactly right.
And we're going to have to lead the way. And we are beginning to we are finding allies to join up with us. And
what is interesting is how many wars we've been in that we finished the war and turned those nations into allies. Japan, Italy, Germany, Vietnam is becoming a strong ally and trading partner.
I got to tell you, what we've seen in Vietnam, they're turning that into a world-class ship rebuilding and ship repair facility. Same thing in the Philippines. We didn't go to war with the Philippines. We went to war with Spain at the turn of the century, but the Philippines has been one of our best allies throughout.
They're coming back, and I had spent time in the Philippines. The Philippines had always wanted their independence. We eventually gave them that. We were on the way to doing it a couple of times. World War II broke out, and it was like, okay, we can't do this. Anyway, they are now free, but all of a sudden we're now conducting joint military operations with them. But the point of this is and Evelyn, this comes back to you. The one thing that I have seen, and now it's my turn to embarrass you because you were way too kind earlier, but the genuine love that you have for humanity. You are truly a child of God. And I say that unashamedly.
Thank you.
You're just a wonderful person. And one of the things that you did is, and I saw this with some of the other members of the committee, the Gold Star members of our committee, is you gave them and helped them with a sense of peace as they were trying to deal with their own loss. And guess what? That's fair. We all have to heal, but you're part of the solution. You aren't part of the problem.
Well, thank you for saying that, Chuck. Truly, had it not been for my faith in God, I felt like I would have folded. I literally ran the day that the young men were bringing the flag to my front door. I left the house, but they found me. And when they found me at church. And so that has been my foundation, my entire grief process. For me, it is impossible to go on this journey without God. And I didn't know it. I found out later that my son, he was the core chaplain at Texas A&M for the past 2 years.
Wow. That's
So,
great.
It's a trickle down effect. What my parents instilled in me, I tried to instill in my children. And his sister, she also graduated from Texas A&M, my daughter, Danielle Manuel. And he was a light for her. And she has paved her own way as well. But once again, without God, Chuck, it's impossible.
It is indeed. It is indeed. Let's pivot just a little bit. And the other part of the show that we wanted to discuss, let's talk a little bit about the Wreaths Across America program.
Yeah, that's one of
Evelyn has been involved in that too.
Yes.
And as I think I mentioned it on the air, I had the honor one year. You were committed to be somewhere else. And it was one of my most profound moments at Wreaths Across America was that I went over and laid a wreath on your son's grave.
Thank you so much. Yes.
And that connection to sharing that. And I've worked, and this will be the 10th year I've been involved with Wreaths Across America, but that might have been that was the first time that I was connected to somebody that I knew. Now, we talked about Mary Bush, who was also part of our committee, but Mary Bush created the Wreaths Across America program at DFW. I want to be clear about that. She stood up that because her son is also interned there. And Jim has interviewed her.
You took me over and introduced me to Mary Bush. And here's what happened. We had a cameraman and we did an interview as she laid the wreath on her son's grave. And that is at the top of a hill and overlooks the whole valley where the flag, you can see the flags, you can see everything. And it was one of the most moving experiences I've ever had in my life. The mom putting the wreath on her son's grave.
It really powerful. And I want to tangent just a second. If you've not been to the DFW National Cemetery, and for those who don't know the geography of North Texas, it is very, very flat. This used to be cotton country. We raise cotton, and cotton is best when it's grown in black dirt that's flat. And we are flat. We are at the end of the what we call the tornado belt, but it's that flat land that comes all the way down from Kansas just before you hit the hill country, which starts just south of Fort Worth, where Texas has some bumps. We do have some mountains way out west, but generally speaking, Texas is a pretty flat state. And I say this because DFW Cemetery sits in a small valley next to Eagle Mountain Lake, and it is absolutely gorgeous. You don't realize you're in Dallas anymore. It doesn't look like Dallas. And it goes across this valley. And on the other side of the valley, and it may be, other than SMU, the prettiest college campus in DFW, and that's Dallas Baptist University,
DBU.
where you have a degree from.
No, I have a degree from the University of Texas in Austin, but I attended Dallas Theological Seminary for several
But
semesters.
isn't that at DBU?
Oh, no.
I'm sorry. Well, I
near
said I'm
in
giving you
downtown,
credit
but-
for all kinds of stuff that
well,
you
no,
didn't have.
I'll take it, but I didn't get to finish because I started in 2014, and then this character that was a Marine and this crazy lady asked me to help them with this radio show, and I ended up doing like 5 nights a week.
So you're blaming me for your failure to complete a project. I see how you roll.
Well, I'm not blaming you. I'm thanking you. But I had to go back to the people there at DTS, and I said, I can't do a full-time job as a mortgage banker and a radio broadcaster and a seminary student. They said, you're on the air? And I go, yeah. They said, you'll reach a lot more people than you would ever reach in the pulpit. I'm going, well, that's a good testimony to my abilities.
I think they were looking for a way to get rid of you. But
Yeah,
I digress. I digress.
You mean when I asked that professor about systematic theology, about how is this going to help me? Yes, that sort of into that. But you know what?
We digress, and we love picking on Jim because it's a lot of fun, but he has a massive, massive heart.
Thank you.
What we were saying is this is this beautiful setting in Dallas, or DFW. Well, Dallas is really DFW.
Well, it's
Yes.
it's Dallas,
the
but it's Grand
Metroplex.
Prairie. It's the whole right in the center of the
Yeah.
Metroplex. And yes, it is beautiful. And I took Diane's mother and dad and Diane to a Memorial Day down there one time. And it was just amazing because Harry was World War II. And I wanted to take my dad down there, and he never really wanted to go.
Yeah.
I think it touched him. Dad was Navy during World War II. My grandfather was Navy. He was career Navy. I bleed blue because I'm 3rd generation Navy.
There we go.
And I got to tell you, I'll mention a fact real quick because we're talking about this. We had a reunion last week with my squadron, VA 163. Probably best known because one of our pilots was John McCain that was shot down October 26, 1967. I actually was doing radio aboard the ship, on Armed Forces Radio, and they handed me a piece of paper and said, would you announce Lieutenant Commander McCain had been shot down? I met John a couple of times. He was really nice guy to me. I, though, had 12 killed in action and 5 POWs. Stockdale is considered a POW from my squadron because he
Admiral
was CAG.
James Stockdale.
Yeah, he was CAG. And he
So
was
that's
flying
the
one of
Carrier Air Group commander.
and he was flying one of our of Saints A4s. And a comment that was made was, if there was ever an ordained man to be a great leader in Hanoi, and he was one of the first shot down, he was there. Our squadron, also our skipper, Brian Compton, went on to be the commanding officer that commissioned the Nimitz and an admiral. And Jerry Brest, admiral, great man. We had some great men. Ken Adams, Mule Adams, left the squadron, flew for Delta Airlines, was their chief safety officer, and worked with Jim Busey. Jim Busey had been one of our pilots, and he was director of the FAA at one time.
Not to be confused with Gary Busey. The
Right. So our squadron had a lot that was done during and after. All right, we're going to be right back after these words from all of our partners. And thank you, Evelyn, for being on board and staying with us. And Chuck, gosh, it's great to have you back, buddy.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. We come back. We're going to wrap up Wreaths Across America and wrap up the show.
All right. And this is Veterans Impact Show. We're here for you. Thank you. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. And thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies.
Now, let's continue this great conversation.
Well, Chuck, I want to say thank you to you and Evelyn for being on board with me today, and also tell everyone to take a look, subscribe on YouTube. We're on the internet, DBTV, Amazon. They put us on Amazon Fire and Roku. We're on at 9 o'clock Saturday mornings. So every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, you can go to Amazon Fire, Roku, DBTV Network. We're also on AUN out in California, 11 stations there. So you get to be seen by all these wonderful people.
And it's sad because I have a face that was made for radio.
Boy, that's for sure. I'm sorry, I didn't say that. I'm sitting next to a Marine.
Okay.
I got to tell you, without a
okay.
doubt. All right, let's go back and finish up about the Wreaths Across America.
So this is December 16th. It is the third Saturday in December every year. There we go. And that is the back of the head of two friends of mine. On the left is Andrew Wright, and both Army guys, as a matter of fact. And on the right is Gus Karbakis, paying tribute to veterans. And this is what we do. We fill up the cemetery with wreaths, and we lay one at each veteran's site. And we take a minute or two and we read aloud their headstone. And it's amazing how much of their story you can learn from their headstone. It is Saturday, December 16th this year. You can get more information about this on Facebook. We are DFW Wreaths. On the internet, we are dfwwreaths.com. Notice how we tied all of that together. Wreaths are only $17 if you'd like to sponsor one. And you can go there, and that way you're assured those wreaths go to DFW National Cemetery. As we honor, and this cemetery is growing dramatically. We will lay over 55,000 wreaths this year.
Now, Chuck, this is a nationwide program.
Yes.
So if you live in Virginia and you want to contribute, you can go to Wreaths Across America and find out what they have in Virginia. Yep. If you're up in California, you can find out. If you're in Oregon, if you're in Colorado, wherever you are, and there's a national cemetery, there is a Wreaths Across America that will be doing these wreaths for everyone. Now, one of the things they don't do is if someone has requested that they not put a wreath on there, they won't do that.
Yep.
Or if it's Jewish or Muslim and they requested not to have a wreath because that's Christian, although I don't believe a wreath is really...
That's a little bit of a bone of contention. This isn't
not about
religion.
We're all in this together.
And so the funny thing is, all of my Jewish friends have gone, who in the world? We love this.
So. Well, here's the thing. We honor those who are there, and we honor them regardless of race, creed, color, religion, whatever. We honor them. And we want you to be able to honor them as well. So go and donate. Wreaths Across America. You're going to find it's a great, great thing to do. We're going to be out there, and we're also going to be out there. If you see young men and women wearing a Navy uniform or Marine Corps fatigues, there's young Marines, there's Sea Cadets, there's also Air Force.
Yep.
These kids come, and they are changing America, in my opinion.
So you said something interesting, and I want to make sure this gets out. We often get the question, can we bring kids? Can we bring grandkids?
Absolutely.
We don't just say yes, we encourage it. This is the best way for them to learn from the people they respect the most about these sacrifices. Because unfortunately, we're losing sight of what has made America great. And I have no illusions that America doesn't have bumps and bruises just like everybody else. But, there isn't a country on the planet that has done more to fix its problems and doesn't continue to do more. And excellence is not a destination, it's a journey. So we can constantly be working on it. But this is one of the ways to do it. So we invite you to come out. Check out our page at DFW Wreaths on Facebook. Check out our website at dfwwreaths.com. Evelyn has been a part of this. Continues to be a part of this. Like I said, I was honored to be able to lay a wreath at her son's gravesite one year.
Now, Chuck, you were a Marine, a helicopter pilot, SAR rescue pilot. I was Navy. What would you say to a young man or woman who's graduating from high school or college? And what would you say, Evelyn, to someone who's possibly getting ready to be in a military family? In just a few words, what would y'all say to them?
Go ahead, Evelyn.
I would say go in with the intention of truly serving your country, giving it your all, be dedicated, committed, and, always do the right thing.
And I'd open that with a question. Do you long for a sense of purpose? Do you long to make a difference to your world? Because if you do, the opportunities of the military are incredible. You will get back far more than you put in. And if you don't care about that, go work at Starbucks.
Yeah. And let me tell you, I would say to that young man or woman, it changed my life for the better. It made me a man. And I've seen the tremendous impact. And every veteran I've ever talked to says the best thing that ever happened to me was going into the military. It made me understand and learn leadership. And that's why here on the Veterans Impact Show, we showcase veterans who are doing great things. So I'd like to close with a prayer. Chuck? Lord God of the universe, we are so thankful for you and all you do. And we ask that you put a hedge of protection around our active duty military, those soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen around the world that are standing watch, whether it's to evacuate, to bring peace, or to help. Thank you, Lord God, for these men and women. And thank you, without a doubt, for our veterans and all they do in our communities to build us up and to show us the way. Thank you for all that you're doing for this nation. This we pray in your holy name. And we say also, dear God, help us to come together. Help us to rebuild this nation. Help us to be one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Thank you. This has been the Veterans Impact Show. We're here for you. We'll be back next Saturday. A great program. Chuck, thank you for being on board.
Hey, it was wonderful. And particularly thank you to Evelyn, who very much was our inspiration in our short journey.
Thank you.